Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ascar, and if you're new here, please subscribe and click the notification bell. So in today's tutorial, you're going to learn how to crochet this crochet men's shirt. It's made up of chevron stitch and it's actually very simple to make. So as we continue, I'm going to guide you on making different sizes, but for this tutorial you're going to make a medium size. Okay, so let's get to it. So these are the materials you're going to need. You'll need a pair of scissors, darning needle, a 4.5mm crochet hook, some buttons. You're going to need a tape measure and yarn. So for the yarn, I'm going to use these two colors. This will be the major color and you're going to decorate with this color. So I'm using Robin. It's a Kenyan brand and it's a fingering weight yarn. It's a lightweight yarn. So I'm going to double my strand, but I would recommend you use any other medium weight yarn, single strand. So let us start. So before we start, I went ahead and made a small swatch so that you can determine how many rows you're going to start with before we decorate with this different color. Okay, so I'm going to work with a chest measurement of 40 inches. So first of all, you're going to divide your measurements by 4. So if I'm working with 40 inches, I'm going to divide it by 4. I get 10 inches. Okay, so you're going to make your swatch something like this. You can go ahead and just start the video and see how we started here so that you can make yours, and then you're going to take the measurements before you start on the whole project. Okay, so we need to take the measurements in between these different colors. Okay, so you see from this point to this point we have 3 inches. So I'm working with a 10 inch, so you're going to minus 3, so I get 7 inches. So now you're going to divide this 7 inches by 2 because you'll need one half here and the other half on the other side. Okay, so I get 3.5. So the 3.5 is from this point to this point. So that means we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 rows for the 3.5. So I'm going to do 6 rows on this side and 6 rows on this side. Okay, and this decoration in between. So let's go ahead and start. We are going to begin by making a knot. That way. Now we are going to make chains that will exceed the height that you want by 3 or 4 inches. Okay, so go ahead and make your chains. So I'm going to work with a height of 25 inches. So I'm going to make chains that will measure 28 or 29 inches. I'm done making my chains. Now let us take the measurements and see. So you're not going to stretch your work while taking the measurements. So I was working with a height of 25 inches, so my chains should go up to 29 inches. I'm going to add 4 inches for the chains. And don't stretch your work while taking the measurements. You see, it measures 29 inches when it's not stretched. Okay, now let us start the first row. You're going to yarn over and insert your hook into the third chain from the hook. So 1, 2, into the third chain insert your hook, pull up a loop. Now you have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. That is a double crochet. Yarn over, go to the next chain with a double crochet. That way. So you're going to do 6 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That way. Now you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, yarn over and insert your hook into that same stitch, the 6th stitch, this one, and place a double crochet. Yarn over and go to the next chain with a double crochet. You're going to do 6 more double crochets. So from here you're going to do 6 double crochets. So 3, 4, 5 and 6. So we are making hills and valleys to form that zigzag shape. So this is the first hill, so the next one you're going to do the valley. So we've made 6 double crochets in between. So now you're going to yarn over and skip 2 chains. So 1, 2, into the third chain you're going to do a double crochet, and that will mark the first double crochet. So place 5 more double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So we need 6. So now we have 6 double crochets. So we've made the hill and the valley. So now you're going to do another hill. So you're going to chain 2 and you're going to do a double crochet into that same stitch, and now you're going to do 5 more double crochets plus this one, it would be 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. That way, you see, this is the hill, the valley, the hill. So let's do one more valley, then you're going to continue by yourself. So you're going to yarn over and skip 2 chains, 1, 2. On the third one you're going to do a double crochet, and that will mark the first double crochet. The second, we need 6. So 3, 4, 5 and 6. So this is what we have right now: hill, valley, hill, valley. Okay, so the next step, you're going to chain 2 and place a double crochet into this same stitch, and just repeat the same process until the end. When you get to the end, you're going to take the measurements and determine how many stitches you're going to undo. I'm going to meet you after you're done with the first row. Now I'm done with my first row, and this is how it looks like. So let's go ahead and take the measurements. I worked up to the end, so let's take the measurements and undo extra. You're not going to stretch your work while taking the measurements. So I was looking for 25 inches, so I'm just going to place the mark there on the 25th inch, and just lay my work flat. Don't stretch your work while taking the measurements. You see, it goes up to this point. So you're going to choose either the hill or the valley, which is the closest. So for me, the closest one is this one, so I'm going to undo up to this point. Okay, so take the measurements of yours and undo the extra. So I'm going to undo up to the valley, that way. So I'm going to undo these extra chains. We don't need this. So now let us go to the second row. Now you're going to chain 2, 1, 2, turn your work, and you're going to place 6 double crochets here. So make sure you have 6 in between these. Okay, so you're going to yarn over and you're going to insert your hook into the second stitch. So you're going to work on back loops. So yarn over and go to the back loop of the second stitch. This is the first stitch, this is the second one. So go to the back loop here and make your double crochet. So 1, go to the next one, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the last one will be in the chain 2 space. So that will make 6. So if yours was starting with the valley, not the hill, you're going to begin by making 2 double crochets into the first stitch. That way, when you get to the middle, you'll have 6 double crochets. Okay, now you're going to chain 2, and into that same chain 2 space, place 1 double crochet. So that marks the first double crochet of this second set. So 1, go to the next, back loops, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 that way. So we have 6 and 6. So you're going to yarn over and skip 2 stitches, this one and this one. Go to the third one, back loops with your double crochets that way. So this will mark the first double crochet of this next set. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the last one will be in the chain 2 space that way. You see? Now let's continue. So now you're going to chain 2, and into that same chain 2 space place a double crochet that way, and now you're just going to continue back loops. So this will be the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and 6th. So you're going to skip 2 stitches in between. So yarn over and skip the 2, go to the third one with a double crochet, and keep doing that until you get to the heel. We have hills and valleys that way. So this is what we have right now. Now you know how to continue from here. So now you're going to chain 2, place another double crochet there, and just repeat the same thing. In between here you're going to skip 2 stitches and continue. So we're going to work on back loops only, okay, for some few rows. As we continue, I'm going to let you know on the rows that you're not going to use the back loops. So continue, and I'm going to meet you at the end of the row. I'm almost getting to the end of my second row. So 4, 5. So we have 5 stitches right now, and we have 2 stitches left here. So you're going to do a decrease. So you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, back loop, and into the next one that way. Okay, you insert your hook into the next stitch and into the next one, to the last one. Then you're going to pull through the 2 that way, yarn over, and now finish your double crochet that way. So this is what we have right now. This is my second row. Now let us go to the third row. You're going to chain 2 and turn your work. Then you're going to repeat what we did on the second row. Yarn over and start from the second stitch. So back loops, double crochet. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the last one will be in the chain 2 space that way. So just repeat what we did on the second row until you get to the end. And at the valleys, you're going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2. Go to the third one with a double crochet, back loops, and just repeat the same process. That way. So you're going to repeat what you did on the second row for some few rows. So considering your chest measurements, I had already talked about this. So I'm going to continue with this green color until I have 6 rows. Okay, so my 6 rows is 3.5 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3.5 inches. So I'm going to work until I have 3.5 inches. Then you're going to start with this different color. Okay, so you're also going to measure yours to determine how many rows you're going to make before we start with this different color, and I'm going to meet you after you've made your rows. So it's all different, it's not the same. Not everyone will do the way I'm doing, because some people will make a small size and others will do large size. Okay, so continue, and you're going to meet after we are done with that. I'm done with my 6 rows, and this is how it looks like. So you can take the measurements and see. So this should measure 3.5 inches. You see it measures 3.5 inches. So now you're going to introduce a different color. So you're going to attach the different color into the last row of this sixth row. So I'm going to undo it halfway. I can just undo it and do it again. So you're going to yarn over and do your decrease, and you're not going to finish your double crochet. So you're going to introduce the new color. I'm using beige. So this is jungle green and beige. And I'm going to finish my double crochet with it. So let's go to the next row. You're going to chain 2, turn your work. And on this row, you're not going to work on back loops, okay? You're going to work on both loops. So when you're working with two different colors joining together, you're going to work with both loops, not back loops. So yarn over, and you're going to start from the second stitch. So insert your hook into the second stitch, both loops, and make your double crochet. Okay, so now you're going to keep placing 1 double crochet in each stitch, both loops, not back loops. That way. So you're just going to maintain the same pattern. The only difference is that you're not going to work on back loops. You're working on both loops. So keep doing that, and you're going to meet when you're almost done with this row. I'm almost getting to the end. So now we have 5 double crochets here, so we need the 6th one, and you have 2 stitches here, so you're going to do a decrease. So you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, both loops, and into the next stitch, that way. Okay, let me do it again. You insert your hook into the next stitch and into the next stitch, that way. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through the 2, that way. Yarn over now and finish your double crochet. Okay, now let us go to the next row. So the next row you're going to use the green color. So I'm going to finish this last double crochet with the next color, which is the green. Chain 2, and you're going to repeat what we did on this 7th row, what we just did on this row. Okay, so turn your work, and you're going to start from the second stitch with your double crochet, both loops. When you're working with 2 different colors, you're going to work on both loops. When it's just the same color, we are working on back loops. So the process is just the same. So you're going to continue doing the same thing, repeating what you did on the 7th row until you get to the end of the row. Then you go to the next row, and you're going to use this color. Just maintain this pattern. Place 3 colors of the light color and the dark color in between. Okay, so I'm going to meet you after you're done with the 3 rows. This one, and this one. And don't forget to work on both loops, not back loops. So continue, and I'm going to meet you on row number 11. I'm done with my 11 rows, and this is how it looks like. So we are at the end of the 11th row. So we say that when you get to the end, you're going to insert your hook into the second last stitch and into the last stitch. You're going to pull through the 2 and finish your double crochet. So now you're going to switch to the green color. And I'm going to finish my double crochet with it. Chain 2 and turn. So on the 12th row, we are going to work on both loops because we have 2 different colors together. So just repeat the same process. So continue, and I'm going to meet you after you are done with this row. I'm done with my 12 rows, and this is how it looks like. So the next row you're going to continue with the green color, so that means you're going to work on back loops. Okay, so let us just start on it, then I'm going to explain to you how you're going to continue. So you're going to chain 2, turn your work, you're going to yarn over and start from the second stitch, back loop, not the whole loop. Remember, if you're working with 2 different colors joining together, you're working on both loops, but right now it's just the same color, so you're going to work on back loops that way. So you're going to continue with the back loops, but the same process, the pattern remains the same. That way. So it's just like working on this part. Okay, so now you're going to continue with the same pattern, but now you're going to work on back loops only until you have 12 rows of the green color. So we started here with 6 rows, so you're going to multiply the amount of rows here by 2. So we had 1 2 3 4 5 6, so if you multiply it by 2 we get 12. So this is the first one, so you're going to make 12. After your 12 rows, you're going to start with a different color, this beige color. So I'm saying you multiply it by 2 because first of all the first 6 will mark the first quarter of your work. Okay, remember we divided it by 4. So I had 40 inches and I divided it by 4, so I got 10. So if I do 6 more rows here, that means I will have the 10 inches. So the next 6 more rows is like this first 6 rows here, then we repeat this and then another 6 rows. Okay, so you're going to continue until you have your 12 rows. So let's say if you started with 5 rows of the green color here, that means you're going to do 10 rows of the green color in between the light color. Okay, so I made 6, so next I'm going to do 12 rows from this row. So this is the first one, then I'm going to do 11 more. Okay, if you had, let's say, 7 rows here, you're going to do 14 rows here. Okay, just multiply this by 2. So right now I'm going to do 1 2 until I have the 12 rows, and I'm going to meet you at that point. I'm done working on my 12 rows here. So I placed this after the 6 rows, so let's take the measurements. This should give me 10 inches. You see, this is the first quarter of our shirt. So these 6 rows here is like this first 6 rows. Okay, so the next step you're going to work on this light color and dark color, just like this. Then after you're done with your 5 rows, you're going to switch to 6 rows of the green color. Okay, so let's go ahead and start on this, then I'm going to explain to you how you're going to continue. You're going to switch to the beige, the light color. You're going to chain 2, turn your work, and on this row we're going to work on both loops, not the back loops. So start from the second stitch, just the same process, but now you're going to work on both loops. That way. So this is like this row. Okay, so the next row you're going to switch to green, then the beige, then green, then beige, then you're going to switch to the green color, and you're going to continue for the next 6 rows of the green color. And remember, when you're working with 2 colors of the same color, you're working on back loops. If it's different color like this, you're working on both loops. So if you had, let's say, 5 rows here, make sure you end also with the 5 rows. So continue, and you're going to meet after that. Now I'm done working on the back panel, and this is how it looks like. So we can go ahead and take the measurements. So this should give you 20 inches. You see, it measures 20 inches in length. Okay, so this is okay. Now let us go to the next row, and on the next row you're going to leave a space for the sleeve. Okay, so let us go ahead and start on the next row. So before we start on the next row, I ended my last row here, so you're going to take the measurements on this side, not the side where you stopped. Okay, so you're going to take the measurements here and decide where you're going to stop and make the space for the armhole. Okay, so let's take the measurements. So for the medium size, you're going to make 9 inches space. Okay, so let us place my stitch marker there, and you're going to choose a point in between here, either the valleys or the hills. Okay, so if I'm working with 9 inches, that means I'm going to stop at this point. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5 6. So I'm going to place my stitch marker here. And now if you're making a small size, you're going to work with 7 or 8 inches. So let us take the measurements. You're going to work with 8 inches, but the 8 inches will go up to the midpoint between the hills and the valley. So you're going to choose either hill or the valley, but since you're doing a small size, you can't choose here. You're going to choose this point. Okay, so that means you're working with 7 inches. So if you're making a small size, you're going to place your stitch marker at this point. If you're making a large size, you're going to place it at this point. Okay, it measures 10 inches. Okay, so let us go ahead now and start the next row. So you're just going to work as usual, the same process, but you're going to stop at the point where we have the stitch marker. So I'm going to continue the same process, back loops, double crochets, until I get to the point where we have the stitch marker. I've gotten to the point where I have my stitch marker, and this is how it looks like right now. Now let us go ahead and make the armhole here. So if you're working with a small or the large size, you're going to stop at the heel. Okay, at this point or at this point, so it's not exactly the same like mine. So first of all, let's go ahead and elaborate that, then we're going to continue with this. Okay, so I'm going to use this different color, but it's just for the elaboration. You're not going to use this on this part. You're going to continue with the green color. So this is for only those who placed your stitch marker on the heel part. Okay, but if you placed it at the valley, this point, you're going to skip this part and continue with me. Okay, so let us go ahead and elaborate that. So I'm going to imagine that my stitch marker is at this point, so I'm going to continue with this up to that point, then we're going to continue. So keep in mind that this is just for elaboration. You're not going to use a different color. Let's say you are doing a small size and your stitch marker is at this point. Okay, so right now we have 5 stitches, so you're going to place your last double crochet in the chain 2 space. Okay, now you're going to count, so you need to know how many chains you need to make. So for you to determine how many chains you're going to make, you're going to say so on this set we have 6 stitches here and 6 stitches here, but remember 2 stitches share the same stitch at the middle. So that means we have 11 stitches here. So 11 stitches here. This one also has 11 stitches, but remember in between this and this we were skipping 2 stitches. So 11, and we have 2 stitches in between. Okay, so here we have 6 stitches. So you're going to say 11 plus 11 plus this 6 here, then plus the 2, 2 and 1 here. Okay, so that will give you 11 plus 11 will give you 22, plus 6 that will give you 28, then plus 5, 2, 2 and 1, so 28 plus 5 that will give you 33. So we are going to make 33 chains. So if you stopped at this point, we're just going to say 11, 11, 11 and 6 here, then 2 in between, 2, 2 and 1. Okay, so go ahead and make your 33 chains. So 1 2 3 4, that 1, 32 and 33. Now you're going to join it at this point with a slip stitch. So insert your hook into the last stitch and you're going to make a slip stitch that way. So you're going to chain 2, turn your work, And now you're going to start working on the next row. So you're going to yarn over and go to the first chain with a double crochet. That will mark the first double crochet. So you're going to need 6 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So now we need a heel, so you're going to chain 2, and into that same stitch you're going to do a double crochet. So that will mark the first double crochet. 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So we've made a heel. Now you're going to make the valley. So you're going to yarn over and skip 2 chains, 1, 2. Into the third one you're going to do your double crochet, and into the next, that is 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. You're going to chain 2, and into that same stitch you're going to do a double crochet, forming a heel. So you want a heel and this part. So this will be 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, that way. Now you're going to skip 2 stitches, 2 chains, 1, 2. Into the third one you're going to do your double crochet. So that will be 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So when you're done with this, you should have 1 chain left. Okay, so you're going to continue this way. You're going to chain 2 because you are at the heel part. Okay, so chain 2 and place a double crochet in that chain that you've left here, that way, and then you're going to continue into the next one. So you'll make 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, that way. So you should have 1 stitch here left before you start. You should be somewhere at this point. Okay, so you're going to skip that stitch and the next one and just repeat the same pattern until the end. Then just repeat the same pattern when you come back and continue. So this applies for the small and the large size, or anyone who placed the stitch marker at the heel. Okay, now let us continue for the medium size, or those who placed your stitch marker at the valley. Okay, so I'm just going to undo this, and don't use a different color. You're going to continue with this. I was just elaborating with this color. So the way we are counting this one is different from the other one. We had 11 chains here, 11 here and 11 here, and 2 in between, 2 here, 2 here. And since you're joining at this point, you're going to place only 1. Okay, so 11 plus 11 plus 11, that is 33, plus 2, 35, plus 2, 37, plus 1, we get 38. So I'm going to make 38 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 6, that's 7 and 38. So we are going to join to the last stitch here with a slip stitch, that way. Then chain 2 and turn your work. So from here we're going to do another 6 rows of the green color, then you're going to switch to this, then another 6 rows of the green color. Okay, so let's go ahead and do it. So you're going to start from the first chain, the 38th chain. So place your double crochet there. So we need 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Then we are at the heel, so you're going to chain 2, and into that same chain place a double crochet, that way. Then that will be 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now you're going to yarn over and skip 2 chains. Into the third one you're going to place your double crochet and just continue the same process. Now I have 1 chain left here, and this is how it looks like, just exactly the same as this part. So now we are at the valley part. This is the heel, we are at the valley. So now you're going to yarn over and skip that chain, the chain that was left there, and the next stitch. So into the next stitch you're going to place your double crochet. So that means you've skipped 2 stitches here, a chain, 1 and a stitch. Okay, and now you're going to continue now just the same pattern, back loops. That way. Okay, so you're going to continue with this up to the end of the row, and this will mark the first row of the 6 rows, okay, of the green color. So you are doing 6 rows of the green color before this. So this is the first row, okay, not this one. So continue, and I'm going to meet you after you've made your 6 rows, and don't forget to work on back loops only. So continue, and you're going to meet after your 6 rows, or the amount of rows that you are making before you started changing the color. Now I'm done with my 6 rows, 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. So you're going to go to the next step where you're going to switch to the beige color. Just do these 5 rows, then I'm going to meet you at that point. You're at this point right now. So I made the 5 rows here, and I made 2 more rows for the green color. Now I have 4 more rows remaining to the end, and I stopped there because we need to do some decreases at the top here. So go ahead and do yours, and you're going to leave 4 rows. Okay, so if you're doing, let's say, 7 rows here, you're going to do 3 rows of the green color, then you're going to do the 4 rows together. Okay, so let us go ahead and do it. So I ended at this point, so I'm just going to continue up to this point, then I'm going to meet you at that point. I'm almost getting to the end of this row. So you're going to do a decrease here. You're going to leave some few stitches. We are trying to form a neckline, so I'm going to leave 3 stitches here. Okay, 1 2 3. So I'm going to work up to this point. So just continue with the same pattern, back loops, but make sure you leave 3 stitches untouched, and you're going to work on the rest that way. We have 1 2 and 3. Now let's go to the next row. You're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Then you're going to go to the first stitch with a single crochet, go to the next. So you're going to place 1 single crochet in each stitch until you get to the chain 2 space. Now I'm in the chain 2 space, so I'm just going to place a slip stitch and chain 3. Then you're going to place 1 double crochet in that chain 2 space, that way. Now you're going to continue, so continue with the same pattern now, back loops with the double crochets. Now just continue up to the end of the row, and when you get to the end you're going to chain 2, turn your work, and you're going to come back, and I'm going to meet you at this point. I'm almost getting to the end of our second last row. So this is the last row of the decreases. 1 2, we are on the 3rd row. You're going to count 3 stitches from this side, 1 2 and 3, then you're going to work up to this point. Okay, so just continue with the same pattern. but make sure you leave 3 stitches untouched. So we have 1, 2 and 3 that way. Then now let's go to the last row. You're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Then you're going to insert your hook into the first stitch with a single crochet. 1, go to the next stitch and into the 3rd stitch that way. Then go to the 4th stitch with a slip stitch and chain 2, and you're going to do another double crochet into that same stitch, and now you're going to continue the back loops. So make sure you have 6 stitches here. 1, 2, 3. So you see we have done the decreases, and now we are on the last row. So I'm going to work up to the end, and I'm going to meet you at the end of the row. I've gotten to the end of my row, so we are done working with the rows that we needed here. We were making 6 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So now let's go to the last step where we are going to straighten these parts. We're going to get rid of the heels and valleys. Okay, so let's go to the next row. You're going to chain 1 and turn your work. Knot 1, you're going to chain 2 and turn your work. And now let us go ahead and start. So you're going to start with this first stitch here, not the second stitch, the first stitch, and you're going to work on both loops. Okay, so yarn over and go to the first stitch with a double crochet that way. Yarn over and go to the next stitch with half double crochet. So insert your hook, pull up a loop, and you're going to pull through all 3. Go to the next stitch with a half double crochet that way. Go to the next 2 with single crochets. Into the next stitch you're going to do a slip stitch, chain 1 and go to the next stitch, skip the chain 2 space and go to the next stitch, which is this one, with a slip stitch. Then go to the next 2 stitches with single crochets, then to the next 2 with half double, that way. Now go to the next 2 with double crochet, then the next 2 with half double, the next 2 with single crochets, now to the next with a slip stitch, then chain 1 and you're going to skip the chain 2 space, go to the next stitch with a slip stitch, and don't tighten the stitch here, the chain 1 that you're making here, don't tighten it. Then you're just going to continue the same pattern, 2 single crochets, 2 half double crochets, 2 double crochets, okay. So continue with the same pattern until you get to the end of the row, and I'm going to meet you at the end of the row. I'm almost getting to the end of the row. And my last stitch is a double crochet. So you see my work is now straightened up. Now you're going to go to the next row and you're going to work with single crochets only. So you're going to chain 1, turn your work. So in each stitch you're going to place 1 single crochet, both loops. So this is the part where we are going to place our buttons. You're not going to make the buttonholes here, and you're also going to work on the chains that you made here, the chain one that you are making here. Place your single crochet there also. So place one single crochet in each stitch. So the other side you're going to make the buttonholes. Though you can decide where you're going to place your buttonholes, but I'm going to show you on the other one. So this one, just place your single crochet in each stitch until the end, and when you get to the end, you're going to chain one and place one more row of the single crochets only, and I'm going to meet you after we are done. I'm almost getting to the end. So when you get to the end, you're going to chain one and cut your yarn, and you are done with this part. So you see, this is how it looks like. It looks good. And this is the top part. This is where our neckline will be.